Get ready for full tilt pro bass action. Big fish, hot sticks, and serious money on the line. There's inside info, tournament tactics, winning tips and techniques. And it's all designed to help you become a better bass angler. This is the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour. Brought to you by Dodge Trucks, Mercury Marine, Triton Boats, and Rapala Lures. Welcome to the legendary Gull Lake Chain near Brainerd, Minnesota. Here, the top qualifying anglers on the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour will compete head-to-head, vying for more than $75,000 in cash and prizes. The field is peppered with talent. Some of the top bass pros in the Midwest gleaned from the Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois divisions of the Gander Tour. These are the best of the best, the top points winners in all three states. And the competition will be fierce. This season's Tournament of Champions is a 3-day event. The bass pros and their amateur co-anglers will work as a team for a combined 8-fish limit. On days 1 and 2, the entire field will compete for the heaviest 2-day weight, hoping to make the cut for the final day's contest. Come day 3, this field will be cut to just 15. All previous weights will be thrown out, and the teams will be starting from scratch for a 1-day, all-out run for the money. This is knockdown, drag-out tournament bass fishing at its best.
The big fish on this particular lake would be 2 3/4 pounds and up. Your ability to isolate where 5 of those fish are, 5 that will somewhere be in the 3-pound average category is what's going to take to win that last day. It might even take a little more than 15 pounds. So it's a two-way thing here. They've got two things working at once. They got to make the cut, the 15 cut, without burning their big fish. It's important. You burn those big fish, they are not that easy on this particular body of water. 3.2 or 3.6 is a little harder to come by. There's 4-pound fish here, there's 5-pound fish here, but they're not an everyday thing. So the ability of these anglers to find places where they can go on that 3rd day to find those kickers is going to make all the difference.
Just as in all the Gander Mountain events, anglers are allowed 2 days of practice the week of the tournament. And for most of the out-of-towners, those 2 days are critical.
To be honest with you, I don't have a plan right now. I'm just going to start shallow or deep pre-fishing and move the other, either in or out, depending on where I start, and try to figure them out from there.
The Gull chain is big, diverse, complicated, and loaded with options. It's plenty tough to chew on even for the locals, but for a newbie, it's an intimidating mouthful. The upper lakes are shallow, stained, and sloppy, where the winning bag may be waiting in the weeds and lily pads. The main lake is deep and crystal clear, with vast weed flats and mid-lake humps that plummet into the abyss. And then there are the docks, hundreds of them. It's summer peak here in central Minnesota. The bass have set up on specific summertime spots and are actively feeding. Some stay hunkered down in the deep weeds. Some spend all season in the slop. Some relate to shoreline structure, and some suspend, moving up to feed at various times of the day.
What these anglers have to do is they have to really, really think strategically on how they're going to work their tournament. They should have a game plan, and a game plan with contingencies.
Don't go away. We'll be back to get some pro insight on sizing it all up for the Tournament of Champions on the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour. 3 grueling days of competition lay ahead for a select field of anglers representing the Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois divisions of the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour, some of whom have never seen this water before. And the Gull chain is no pushover. It's one of the most complex systems on the circuit, with hundreds of location and presentation options. And to add another confusing twist to the plot, the weather has been unstable all season, throwing the bass off their usual patterns. The bite could be tough. Let's join some of the Gander Mountain pros during practice and find out how they plan to face this daunting challenge as they prepare for the season's biggest event.
Normally this time of the year you have warm water, but this year's been a little different. It's been a cold August and the water temperature's dropped about 10 degrees already this year. Normally you'd think that might push some fish shallow, but I'm finding most of my fish as deep as I have all summer long. Gull Lake has so many fish that are on the deep edge weed line that even if it goes bad, you still should be able to pull together a 14 to 16 pound limit. And I think a 14 to 16 pound limit per day, it's gonna be real close. I would say 16, you may be safe.
There's gonna have to be a different strategy in this tournament versus all the other ones we've done. It's gonna be challenging and a lot of strategies gotta go into it. You wanna save something in case you make it to that last day, but you gotta make it. So if you gotta burn through your fish the first day, you gotta burn through them and look for more.
This right here is even an example of being versatile. I like to flip and pitch jigs around mostly visible cover, weed pockets, that kind of stuff. And right now, what we're doing is we're looking for fish. Instead of flipping a jig to someplace that I know has fish, I'm out here and fishing the edges of these weed lines with the crankbait. I think it's just gonna be, there's a lot of fish there. I think it's gonna be a matter of figuring out how to give them a bite. But I think I'm fishing differently than a lot of people do, so, and it seems to be working. So I have a lot of confidence that I'll be able to do that. Come on, Betsy. And I'd like to find some big fish up here for the last day. That's a nice one. That's a nice one.
These are main lake fish. Guys that know where to look for these. I'm on a walleye spot way out in the middle of nowhere here. And this is a smaller one, but they're this size and bigger usually. And you get on one of these spots here. This spot that I'm on right now could win. You could absolutely make the 15 cut here.
Day one of the Gander Mountain Bass Tour Tournament of Champions dawns cool, dark, and damp. Nervous energy fuels this elite field as they fan out across the Gull Lake chain in search of 8 solid bites. The veterans here know you can't win a 3-day tournament on day one, but if your fish don't cooperate, you sure can lose it.
He's fighting it. See, that's working for him. Putting the rod down looks like a good fish.
We start in the main lake, where Hall of Fame angler Ron Linder is watching pro Mike Luman put on a clinic in finding and catching a quick limit.
Good fish. It's 8:30 in the morning. They took off at 7. He's got 7 fish in a box already in an hour and a half. But he's almost limited. He's got himself a good start, a real good start. Apparently what he's doing, the front man is throwing the crank and the back man is working a worm. It looks like a jig worm. That's what it looks like to me here.
On another main lake weed edge, we find Brian Brown, also a proponent of the quick limit theory, as the bites come fast and furious. The deep fish aren't the only biters on this overcast day. Joe Marchese has discovered a small, shallow harbor off the main lake and is on solid fish like this one.
Oh, sweet.
Dwayne Anderson is contacting big fish in the thick slop in the upper chain lakes. But it's the deep weeds that are turning out the best fish. Minnesota pros Brad Leiferman and Dean Capra are always tough on this water, and today will be no different. Leiferman is loading the boat off a main lake weed flat. And Capra already has a solid limit off the deep weed edge. And while Capra continues to look for big fish, Leiferman is in cruise control with a giant day one limit.
Got him like that.
At the docks, heavy baskets head for the Gander Mountain stage as the field jockeys for position heading into day two, with all eyes on the top 15 weights. Mike Lumen weighs early.
2012, will you take that or will you take 18?
Over 20 pounds puts Lumen in great position for day two. Another quick starter, Brian Brown, lifts a quality limit to the scale.
$16.99.
Just under 17 pounds means Brian will have to make up some ground if he hopes to make the final day. Same goes for Dean Capra.
I'll say 19.8.
19.8.
18.37.
18, so you owe me a pound for tomorrow. 18.37.
Capra is less than a pound ahead of the cut line, so he knows he can't afford a day two stumble. Joe Marchese has less to worry about.
21.39, a guy from Wisconsin.
A great limit puts Marchese in second position after day one, but still more than 2 pounds behind day one leader, Brad Leiferman.
23.83. 23.83, that puts Brad in the lead.
Nearly a 3-pound average means Leiferman has him dialed in. But does he have enough fish to answer the call on day two? The field shifts into survival mode. Whose championship fire will stay lit and who will get an early ticket home? It's cut down day in the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour Tournament of Champions when we come back. 66 of the best bass pros in the upper Midwest and their amateur partners blast into the morning haze on Minnesota's Gull Lake. Today's goal? Survival. Only the top 15 pros and AMs at the end of the day will move on to compete for the Gander Mountain Bass Tour Tournament of Champions title. Corey Gutenfelder works his way through the Bishop's Creek Channel into Round Lake, where on day one he managed just over 20 pounds and 6th place. Once through the shallow water maze, it doesn't take long to realize his Round Lake pattern is holding up.
Big bass, really big. Yes. Whew. That's a little better. Nice fish.
A quick limit and at least one good kicker has Gutenfelder feeling secure about making the 15 cut for day 3. Back in the main lake, leader Brad Leiferman is doing more than enough to keep his final day invitation intact.
Strategically, he's probably going for, he's working a marker too, means he's probably got fish there. He needs 3 decent fish, and then the rest he can just fill in with anything, and that's probably his strategy.
Elsewhere, Shane Raveling is working a string of docks, looking for one more kicker to hopefully solidify his spot in the final 15.
I just happened to get the right bites yesterday, and today I got a real nice one too. I mean, 4.5 pounder or something. Probably got, I'm guessing close to 16, 15 and a half, something like that. So I'm thinking that I might be in, but if I catch one more 3.5 pounder, I'm gonna be in for sure. One would be a little better, huh?
Day 2, that's Mike Lumen. He's in the top 5, and he's working the same pattern he worked yesterday. This day, however, because he is in the top 5, he doesn't need as many fish to make the cut. Remember that the weight goes back to 0 at the end of the day. So he needs just enough fish to qualify, which we think is around 33 to 34 pounds. He already has 20, almost 21 pounds. So his goal today is to come in with about 14 pounds, which ain't that hard for 8 fish.
Today's been a really struggle. We've only had, what would you say, Matt, 10 bites, 12 bites, and 3 of those bites came off.
Brian Krause had some work to do when the day began. Starting in 23rd position, he has to jump 8 spots to make the final day cut. And with a solid limit in the box, he may be well on his way.
We just got a really nice one that's probably, well, I'm hoping it's well over 4. And yesterday I had just about 17 pounds, and we're guessing conservatively today we've got 16, so, and I was guessing 32 to 33 pounds would get us fishing on Saturday to keep us in the top 15, and I'm really hoping and praying that that's where we're at. Rarely has Matt had time to get the net just because I've only got probably 15 feet of line in the water, so I mean by the time that fish comes to the surface, it's either I either have to swing it in or he's there with the net. But yes, we're doing, all my bites have been coming with short casts, really short casts. It seems like the fish must be really close to the bottom, because if I make a cast out and the bait is hanging up on top of the weeds, we're not getting bit. But if I make short casts, that's where we're getting all of our bites.
Here we go.
Corey Putnam is another guy that's on the bubble for the final day cut.
That might help. Oh, that's bad.
But Putnam and partner Keith Seletsky are making sure that bubble doesn't burst.
Got this one about half hour into the day this morning on a little tube. My partner told me about the 2 5-pounders he caught a couple days prior to this practice fishing. And lo and behold, he told me it had a knock on the top of his head. Sure enough, this one here, same exact fish he caught a couple of days ago. Yep. Good fish, big fish. Whoa. This one will work, buddy. Oh. Oh, yeah. Beautiful fish, buddy. We're going in now. Look at that brush hog.
It's decision time at the Gander Mountain docks. The field unloads a bounty of Gull Lake bucket mouths with one goal in mind: finish in the top 15 and survive to compete for the championship crown on day 3. Brad Leiferman weighs early and lays claim to top qualifier honors with a 2-day total just over 43 pounds. The father-son duo of Mark and Shane Raveling hit the stage. Shane held steady on day 2, moving from 3rd to 2nd qualifying position, while Dad Mark needed a fantastic day 2 catch of over 18 pounds to jump more than 15 spots and into the final day field. Corey Gutenfelder unloads his Round Lake beauties.
That's the jigfish.
Gutenfelder is in easily with 38.5 pounds for 2 days. But it's the boys on the bubble who are sweating it out. Guys like Dean Capra.
Dean Capper coming up with 18:37 yesterday.
Capra was a solid 9th at the start of the day, but a tough day 2 bite slides Dean into 16th position, less than a pound from a final day invitation. But others are moving the other way, like Brian Krause. Tied for 23rd after day 1, Krause needed to make a big move, and it looks like he did.
1911.
Well, you should be okay.
Krause will vault 15 places to qualify for the final day in 8th position. But no one made a bigger day 2 statement than Corey Putnam. Out of qualifying position in 17th when the day began, Putnam hefts over 21 pounds to the scale for the biggest day 2 limit and the 4th qualifying position. So the scale is settled and the top 15 final day qualifiers are in place. We'll tell you who they are and how they plan to attack the final day shootout for all the money when we come back. A grueling 2 days of championship qualifying is over, and the elite field of 66 is now trimmed to 15. Brad Leiferman leads this best of the best list and has been by far the most consistent pro in the field. But will it hold up one more day? Shane Raveling has him dialed in as well, but thinks he may have to change gears to make a run at the title.
Depending upon who makes the cut and what, I may do off the wall and I may just do something I haven't even done yet and just go for broke and go for 5 big bites. And some of those littler lakes up there, you can do that.
Others, like Brian Krause, are just happy to have one more day on the water with nothing to lose.
I'm going to go for the win. I don't really want 8th place or 9th place. I really want to win. So if I can't be in the top 5, you know, that'd be nice, but I really would like to have that new Triton boat. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is pretty.
It's an elite group of past winners, big fish hunters, and consistent competitors, representing all 3 Gander Mountain divisions, competing on one day for more than $75,000 in prizes. Who has what it takes to claim the coveted title of Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour Champion? Find out next week when we bring you wall-to-wall coverage of the final day of the Gander Mountain Tournament of Champions. We'll see you then. Get ready for full tilt pro bass action. Big fish, hot sticks, and serious money on the line. There's inside info, tournament tactics, winning tips and techniques. And it's all designed to help you become a better bass angler. This is the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour. Brought to you by Dodge Trucks, Mercury Marine, Triton Boats, and Rapala Lures. Ernie's on Gull Lake, Brainerd, Minnesota. Emotions are running high here in the wee morning hours as 15 of the best bass pros in the Midwest prepare to face the biggest challenge of the season. Today, it's for all the marbles. The final day of competition in the Gander Mountain Tournament of Champions. And these Elite 15 aren't here by chance. They fought tooth and nail to get here through qualifying tournaments in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Illinois. Out of a field of 3 state divisions and hundreds of anglers, just 66 earned enough points to make the championship. But the real battle had just begun. Here on Gull Lake, those 66 duked it out toe-to-toe through 2 grueling days of fast fishing action to make the final cut.
Yep. Good fish, big fish. Oh. This one will work, buddy. Oh. Oh, yeah. Beautiful fish, buddy. We're going in now. Look at that brush hog.
And when the dust had settled, only 15 were left, the best of the best, to come back and fight another day.
That's the jig fish.
Some of the favorites had led the charge and returned in triumph, while others had stumbled and fallen along the way. Some of the newcomers had applied their skills and strategy to overcome unfamiliar water, while others had felt the wrath of imposing Gull Lake. And some who had struggled early made valiant efforts to claw their way into the final field on day 2. Now it's come down to this: 15 pro anglers, 15 amateur co-anglers. Their mission, to catch 5 bass big enough to tip the scales to victory and $75,000 in cash and prizes. Today, everybody starts from zero. Pros and co's will be fishing for their own individual 5 bass bags, and top prizes will be awarded in both the pro and co divisions. Who will make it happen? Who will put it all together for the biggest event of the season?
I may do off the wall and I may just do something I haven't even done yet and just go for broke.
I really would like to have that new Triton boat. I don't know if you've seen it, but it is pretty.
We'll find out right after this when we return for final day action in the Elite Tournament of Champions on the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour. This is it, the last hurrah. Today on Minnesota's fabled Gull Lake, one man will emerge victorious from a field of 15 combatants, and only one man will claim the title of champion, with all the fortune and accolades that accompany that honor.
Really? I haven't bent. There's one. Get the net. And there, baby. Gotta jump. Is it a bass or a pike? Good one. Good one. Yeah!
7:21. He's been here about 15 minutes. He just put a 3-pounder in the boat. That feels good on this kind of morning.
Woo! For Mike Lumen, the entire week has been highlighted by a solid early morning bite. And this 3-pounder is the kind of start every single one of these pros was hoping for. He's working the same deep main lake weed edge that got him this far, and the fish aren't letting him down.
Get it.
Less than an hour into the final day, and Lumen already has more than 5 pounds for just 2 fish. An excellent foundation for a potential championship. Brian Krause is also working deep weeds in the main lake. His best bite has been later in the day, but today the fish have started cooperating a little earlier.
I've got 2 fish, and I'm guessing it's about 5.5 pounds, so they're both pretty nice fish. It's it's hard to tell. This spot actually this is the first time I've done good right away in the morning, so I'm actually very excited because the bite generally hasn't been until after 11 o'clock here. So I feel like I got about a 2.5 hour head start on it.
I'm pretty much swinging for the fence on this one. You know, I could play it safe and throw a jig worm and probably catch some, you might catch a big fish. There's some nice fish, but I feel with Carolina rig with the brush hog and a jig, they're a big fish bait.
Corey Putnam is another deep weed aficionado who's been on solid fish all week long. And with 2 in the box early, he's got a good start on the final day.
We're just on a flat. We got a little bit thicker weeds here. I haven't caught a lot of, they're not stacked in here, but the bites you get are pretty quality fish. It's a net. Oh, yep, I got him. Yep. This is a good fish here, guys. No, there we go. We got him, guys. Oh, I was a little worried you jabbed my rod. That's all right. It's a 2-pound fish, a little skinny. But that's my 3rd fish. We're on a roll. Hopefully we can keep her going. Barely had him hooked. It was down deep, but popped right out. 90% of my fishing is jigs. I'm a jig fisherman. That's what I grew up doing, and I don't know, it seems like the biggest bass I ever catch are all on jigs, and it's just a big bait, and it's so versatile, you can do anything with it.
Not all fish or fishermen are in the main lake. Traveling north into the chain lakes, we find perhaps one of the best shallow water bass anglers in the upper Midwest. Jim Smith is working topwater frog baits in the thick pads, and the fish are responding. As he moves between pad beds, Smith flips a few passing docks and finds a biter there as well. So Smith is filling the box fast, but he also knows he needs to find a few bigger biters to be in contention. For Corey Gutenfelder, the old Round Lake hotspot has cooled off for the final day, and he's already in search mode.
It's already been an hour. So far we're blanking out here. We're having a tough morning. I started on a spot where we've been getting 3 or 4 fish each of the mornings the last couple of days, and in practice there was a nice school there, and today there's nothing. So either I burned them out or something changed and they're not there now. So now we got to make some decisions and start covering some water until we figure something out. So not the start I was looking for sure.
Top qualifier Brad Leiferman is in a similar boat. After snagging nearly 44 pounds of Gull Lake bass the first 2 days, Leiferman's well is running dry.
The fight's pretty tough.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Compared to what it's been like, the lake's been on fire for probably 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, that's what we knew that.
Sooner or later, they gotta slow down.
Yeah, he can't work that hard.
Nope, exactly. We got a couple decent ones, 3 little ones, and we're just gonna try to get a big bite, you know.
You know, I got them all. They're all 2 1/2, 2 3/4.
Back in Mike Lumen's boat, the news couldn't be better.
That's what I'd say. I got 14. And it's what, 9:15. I got the whole day to hunt for a horse. I mean, can't ask for a better position to be in.
But there's plenty of time left for everyone in the field. The final day action heats up when we come back to the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour Tournament of Champions. The clock continues to tick toward a final day weigh-in, and across the Gull Lake chain, 15 pros and 15 amateurs continue to struggle with the pressure and the bass.
Well, we've added one more to the box, so we've got 3 now. It's not a real good one. I imagine we have about 7 pounds. But hopefully what I've been doing, this is my best fishing has been from about 11 till 2 o'clock. What I'm finding is isolated clumps of cabbage, and there's some other grass in it. I'm not sure what it is, but it's the thickest cover on the weed line. And then the inside turns, just a little inside turn right in the cabbage itself. It's not really a weed line, it's all the same depth, but the cabbage kind of goes in and out, and it kind of creates its own weed line. Well, I'm throwing a Texas rig tube right now with actually it's just a 1/4 ounce sinker. And I tried a lot with a jig, and they weren't taking it. They would hit it, but they wouldn't take it. And when I switched to a tube, it was a night and day difference. Up north, they're probably gonna do good because that seemed like it was starting to turn on yesterday. And I imagine that the lily pad fish, this sun will help that bite a lot too. But I gotta live or die by this plan.
So what is happening up north? Dwayne Anderson shows us with a beautiful black bass from the shallow slop.
I got one that's maybe a 1/2 pound bigger, and he's got one I figure is a pound bigger.
Dwayne and partner Corey Krinke are using a tag team approach to methodically work one fish at a time.
What we've been doing is if somebody gets a blow up, let them have their shots at it, and then when they're figure they're done with it, then the other guy goes in, and I'm pitching a jig, and for me that's always been the best way to get him out. But it was so long, I didn't think he was going to bite again. You usually got to get in there right away. So
Anderson is in upgrade mode with a solid limit, while Illinois Angler of the Year Carl Radel, also working the northern slop beds, just contacted his 5th fish. Not to be outdone, amateur partner Todd Hesse hooks up with a solid weed bass. Back in the main lake, Mike Lumen is still trying to build on his fast morning start.
This is it. Could do it. Not yet. Not that big. Oh yeah. Sweet! That's the old story. If you're up, you're out, buddy.
So Lumen upgrades an already solid limit, while amateur partner Matt Mickenheimer gets into the act. With time running out, the pressure builds. The main lake pros look for one more kicker. The shallow water boys hope that one big bite is under that last dock or pad bed. Do you run and gun in the last moments? Or stay put and hope?
Well, we got 20 minutes here to do it.
Brian Krause chose to stay put, and his patience finally pays off. Over 7 pounds of fish in just 2 bites with only minutes to go. An incredible sprint to the finish for Brian Krause, but will it be enough? The Gander Mountain Scale will tell the tale. A big crowd of bass fans gathers for the festivities as the anglers bag up a final day bounty. The amateur co-anglers take the spotlight first, with Matt Mickenheimer setting the early mark to beat.
930. We have a co-angler leading right now with a 930.
Mickenheimer's weight holds up until only one angler remains, and Paul DeBona has a big bag.
993. 993. Oh! Any big fish in there to hold up?
Paul DeBona wins the Gander Mountain Amateur Championship and will take home a beautiful $18,000 Triton Mercury combo. Congratulations, Paul. Don't go away. When we come back, the pros take center stage as we crown the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour champion. It all comes down to this: 15 men, 15 limits, but only one will be crowned Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour champion. The tension builds as the pros unload, and one by one make their way to the Gander Mountain stage.
18.21 the first day, 16.15 second day.
Illinois pro Carl Radel weighs early and is the first to hit the 10-pound barrier.
A 10 even. 10 even, just bread and butter cookie cutters. Yeah.
Radel will cap a fantastic season with a 9th place championship finish. Brian Krause takes the long walk toward the stage. The fruit of his last-minute on-the-water heroics has him in position to set a commanding mark to beat.
Okay, we got a big weight. Look at Gary. He don't want you to see it. Give us a read. Give us a run.
1445.
1445. 1445. And what we're going to do, that's a big bag, really big bag, especially after 3 hard days of competition. We're going to ask you to do is stay up there, Brian, and see if anybody's going to bump you off. He's ready.
Dwayne Anderson, with his shallow water slop fish in tow, takes the first shot.
So you only had 5 bites?
I had 5 bites, besides all the northerns that were in the pads.
Okay, let's get a quick read here.
1207.
1207, not a bad bag of fish. That's going to put you in there. That's going to put you up.
Anderson will finish in 5th. Next up is Corey Gutenfelder.
By the way, Corey fished with the co-angler that won that Triton. Congratulations on a great day on the water for you and your co-angler. What kind of weight we got going for Corey?
1284.
1284 to put you in 2nd, I believe, right? That is 2nd.
Krause dodges another bullet. Mike Lumen is next. The question is, did he find a big fish to go with that quick early limit?
What kind of weight we got for Mike Lumen?
1249.
Oh, okay, 1249. That puts you in, I think, 3rd or 4th, Mike.
Not enough to knock Krause off the lead, but a solid 4th place finish for Mike Lumen. Only 2 men remain as Minnesota pro Chris Ludke heads for the stage with a big bag of bass.
You know, I caught quite a few big ones and some reeds. I had a couple good reed patches. Then those reeds are only, 1.5 foot, 2 foot of water. It was a blast. It caught, 30, 40 keepers a day.
Is that what you did today?
Today I probably caught about 25, I'd say, today.
Okay, let's see. Got 25 fish you went through today for Chris Ludke.
1371.
1371. Pause for the cause. Close, baby. Good bag of fish. It was looking close.
Less than a pound short, and Krause is still alive on top of the mountain as Gull Lake veteran and top qualifier Brad Leiferman bags up the final limit of the day.
Superb fisherman. One of the better bass anglers that I've ever had the privilege of knowing. Okay, this is the grand finale. We've got to beat 14.45. 14.45, and if he beats that, he backs up and hooks up this Triton, fully rigged with a Mercury motor and all these goodies, and drives away. Just what you need, another boat or motor. Just what you need, another boat. These 2 guys, we got a winner here. Give it to us, Gary.
798.
798. Congratulations. 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 Thank you, Brad. Congratulations, man. Mama, come on out in the front, kids. Get out here. This is the support team. The Krause support team.
Brian Krause hangs on to win the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour Tournament of Champions.
When I came in today, I had no idea that it was going to be this close. I didn't think I had that kind of weight, and when I caught the last nice fish,
I still didn't think. I thought I had to have another nice fish. I was guessing I would be between 5th and 10th place.
This was an absolute tutorial in patience and confidence. Krause never gave up on the deep weed pattern that he had counted on all week. And on this last day, with just a half hour of fishing time to go, his patience was rewarded with 2 monster bites, enough to put him over the top and into the driver's seat of a brand new $40,000 Triton Mercury combo as Gander Mountain champion.
Hey, Brian, you're the man. The Gander Mountain Championship here on beautiful Gull Lake of Brainerd, Minnesota. You took home all of the marbles. What was your key to success?
I'd have to say the key was my pre-fishing. The lake was cut off for 10 days, and then we had 2 practice days. And before that 10-day cutoff, I drove up here 3 days in a row to fish for 3 hours, which was a total of about 1,100 miles. And what I found was an area so that when I did come and pre-fish, I was able to dissect it in that day and a half. And then I found that weight tubes worked better than the typical black and blue. They weren't biting jigs, and all the big fish were coming on a weight tube. And for some reason, that's what the big fish wanted. I mean, the 5-6 came on a weight tube. All my big fish came on a weight tube. And I tried black and blue, and whenever I threw a black and blue or a different color, they were smaller.
Well, congratulations on a great, great plan. The white tube took home all of the marbles. Not only big weight today, but big fish of the tournament. That was what, 5 3/4 about?
Yep.
Big, big fish. Hey, from all of us here at Gander Mountain, we want to thank you for joining us this year. We'll see you on the water.
Next week on the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour. The season is in the books, but how did they do it? We'll take an in-depth look back at all the winning lessons learned during this past season. From early season shallow water tactics to midsummer deep water presentations, and from pre-spawn to summer peak. Some of the most valuable bass fishing tips you can get from some of the best bass anglers in the business. All that and much more next week on the Gander Mountain Invitational Pro-Am Bass Tour. We'll see you then. Before we go, we'd like to take one more opportunity to thank our fine sponsors, including Dodge Trucks, Mercury Marine, Triton Boats, Rapala, and all of our other partners who make the Gander Mountain Pro-Am Bass Tour possible.